Hey folks, Cool18 here, and welcome to another episode of our Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program. It is a beautiful, beautiful morning, and we are ready to kick off our tourism for KSP here. We've got a mission to kick off space tourism. We've got to bring one passenger into orbit, and then recover him. That's Tito Kerman. We also have another mission to do a manned orbit for 72 hours, so we're going to combine the two of them into a single mission. And then, almost certainly after that, we are going to go to Minmus. We've got a mission to plant a flag on Minmus. More science from space around Minmus, all those sorts of things. That'll hopefully work out pretty well. I'm going to pick up some data from around space, around Kerbal as well, which we could actually do right away by just switching to a satellite. But we'll go ahead and make this part of this mission here. So I do have a ship set up. I call it the Tourist Trap 1, right over here. There it is. You can see we're just using a pair of command modules over here. I've also got an extra big reaction wheel because I want to make sure that we stay pointing exactly the way we want, despite the fact that we're in a very oddball shape. I did slap on a radiator back here because I'm a little nervous about the heat coming in. In theory, our issues where our the universal storage things weren't using the heat properly, that should all be fixed now. As far as I know, these things, the latest updates to this have brought them up to date with the new heat model, which was the problem. They weren't updated for the new heat model, and they were overheating way too soon. I did slap a radiator on here to try to help dissipate more heat from the whole pod. I actually don't know if that helps at all for what we're planning to do. I should probably just take it off. It's so awkward, and I'm having to sort of clip it into the other module a little bit. You know what? I'm going to take it off. Well, we'll just have to hope. I am using a drogue chute as well as two standard parachutes here. You know, a little bit of extra redundancy. I've also gone and set them up for automatic, well, semi-automatic deployment, right? Normally, their min pressure requirements is almost non-existent, so you can activate your parachutes whenever. And then they will pop out and then promptly burn up. But if you require a certain minimum pressure first, by then your ship will probably be moving slow enough that it's not too much of a problem. Now, of course, you can still manually deploy your chute just when it's safe, but this enables you to deploy it ahead of time if you want. And it's a habit I'm going to start trying to do. It's worth noting that this isn't particularly important with a manned capsule, because we'll always have control. But if you're using your early probes, for example, and you might not have a signal and might not have the ability to deploy them, by setting that, it means that you can actually activate your parachutes while you're still in space, but they won't deploy until they get to a certain pressure. So I've got the drogue opening a little sooner, and then these opening a little later than that. In fact, I think I can probably do something like 0.5. Just the thicker the pressure, obviously the lower at that point we are, and the more we should be slowed down just by aerodynamic forces. So I think that'll be okay. Worst case scenario, the drogue might break. We'll see how it goes. But we're going to find out. So I've got some extra... this is oxygen, this is food, and this is water over here. You can see we actually have many, many, many days worth of stuff. By default, the capsules carry enough food and water and oxygen for 3 days. So with 2 of them, technically it's 6 days, except that we're going to have 2 crews, so that's back down to 3 days. 72 hours is the minimum I have to be up there, so obviously we need to carry a little bit extra. So these are pretty overkilling, but not that bad. Reaction wheel, as I said, just to try to make it a little easier to stay pointing retrograde when we come in, just because I'm a little paranoid about what's happened before. Ideally, we won't have to use any of that. We'll just turn off the SAS, but it's sort of long and unwieldy here because we're going to bring these experiments back home. So I think we will have to use the SAS to help us lock retrograde, and so we may as well have that. We've got some solar panels. We've got 2 stages. I am not using the fuel transfer pumps or whatever you call it, just because I'm not supposed to have them yet, so we'll leave them off since I don't actually need them right now. We've got enough delta V. We should be able to get into orbit relatively comfortably with this, assuming I don't F up too badly. We're not the most aerodynamic. I suppose I could put, which one's it? There we go, small nose cone on top there. Now all of a sudden we're more aerodynamic, which should actually help to get us there with our current delta V. We actually have enough thrust to weight. I could throw in a little bit more fuel over here. I think we're okay. I suppose if I'm worried, the best place to put it might be on the middle stage here. You know, just a little bit more. There we go. That was an extra 200 delta V. Hopefully that's okay. All right, staging is good. That's good. That's good. That's good. We are going to go ahead, save one more time. I'm going to go ahead and just build the vessel. So that's adding it to the build list. We actually have a few things in the queue there. One of the things we did at the end of the last episode, I think, was upgrade the mission control. But of course, it has to actually get built over here, which you can see it's still in the queue. 16 days before that's done, which will be about the same time our spaceship gets finished. So that's convenient, actually, very much. There's no warp 2 button here, but there is here. That's interesting. Why is it like that? I mean, I can warp to the next thing to complete, but I'll just tell it to warp to mission control. It's going to be basically at the same time as my spaceship, a little bit easier. Basic fuel systems are coming in here. That's still not my fuel pumps, but it's getting close. And it looks like, oh, it's still going to do the slowdown because we're getting near this. Interesting. I was hoping it would just jump directly to that. Alright, so warp to the next thing. There we go, the tourist trap. And then after that, I think there'll be about 2 hours left to my upgrade, but of course we will have to roll the tourist trap out to the launch pad as well. Okay. Now, do you already have a crew assigned? I hope not. I think it lets me pick the crew when I tell it to launch, doesn't it? It better, because otherwise I might not have my tourists in there. And we'll see, we may have to do a roll back. Yeah, see, the next thing that's going to complete is the mission control, which allows us to have unlimited contracts, which is very convenient that it happens before we launch. There we go. Advanced construction is still going to be 22 days away, but that's okay. Alright, let's take a look. Orbit, rescue, test parachute, test the engine, moon landing. There we go. We want to accept that. We want to do it at some point. Test the lander can. I don't care about those. Let's go ahead and cancel some of these and try to refresh the list of contracts, see if we can get something interesting. And these are all over specific areas, which is no good. Let's cancel one of those. Okay, it looks like we're mostly going to cycle the same sort of stuff here. Alright. So that's fine. So, warp to complete. And tell me you'll let me pick my crew when I hit the launch button. I think it does. Can't remember. I've only done this Kerbal construction mod a few times. I could have changed the crew from inside here too. There we go. That's what I thought. Okay, good. We are going to make sure, as per our personal rules, that we've got a pilot. We only have one pilot in the list, so we're going to do that. And we're going to add our tourist for our mission. Good. Pilot, tourist. Excellent. Launch. We'll do a quick save from the launch pad, just because we just spent a lot of time trying to get to this point. But we're going to try to avoid just pure reverts. Okay, good. Now, I do have a flight computer. I have a probe core on here, which means we'll be able to use flight computers for commands during flight, which I like a lot. I'm having a lot of fun with that. So rather than fly everything manually, which never makes any sense, we're going to do a little bit more of that. I'm going to go ahead and lock us vertically right now. We're going to hit the full throttle. We've got an antenna system on here, which... Excellent. In the command center, or in the VAB, I told it to start deployed, so it is actually active. I can probably hide these contracts for now. Okay, I see no reason not to launch. And go. We have gimbling engines over here. We don't have any fins, but we should be okay. I'm going to prep my 10-degree roll over here. We're going to wait until we cross about 100 meters per second, as per my personal habit. EVA material study. Oh, yeah. I guess I should have material studied from the ground, too. And go. Execute gravity turn. Looks good. We have enough reaction wheels, enough gimbling here that it seems to be relatively stable, even outside of the prograde thing. Do I want to do material study here? No. We'll wait until we're in space at least. You can see here, it's trying to roll over a bit more. I'm going to keep it locked on 10 degrees first before I go into full gravity turn mode here. Speed's starting to get a bit high. Let me go ahead and pull back to about 2/3 throttle here. We're still accelerating a little bit. I just don't want to get too much in the way of drag. until the atmosphere starts to thin out. Alright, that's going to be fine. Let's go ahead. And I think it is probably okay for us to go... Actually, I probably could have done it a little bit sooner than that. Yeah, I'm not as steep as I would like to be. I can, like, manually give it a little bit of a turn here. Okay. Let's tell it to roll over to 45 degrees. Actually, with all this drag here, I'm not sure that's a good idea. There we go. Now that it's gone, let's force it to 55 degrees first. Actually getting heat effects. Interesting. I don't think it'll be enough to be a real problem. This is a very steep ascent. Let's keep it locked here for a second until we do the stage separation. Oh, man. Yeah, we're going far too high, far too steep. Oh, the stage is almost out of fuel anyway. Go ahead and burn it the rest. There we go. Kill that. And separate. Good. So, we're going to get ready for Orbital Prograde over here, and we're going to actually just wait until we get to that point. Definitely a little too steep. So I can get some high altitude info, and I think that'll be a good idea, actually. We're going to pick that up. Oh, wait, I only have one material bay. Never mind, reset. I forgot, I didn't bring a set of them. I only have one material bay, so I definitely want to do that in space. I mean, it's possible we've already got the data in space. I don't remember how this game has gone. In which case, that's okay. We'll get it on our way down. It's fine. I don't actually have to do it before I get there. And you get more value out of everything if you wait until you're in space. So I'm just going to go ahead and physics warp a tiny bit until we're in space here, just to accelerate things. And yeah, we do have the material study in space already. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to hit my 1 key, deploy my solar panels. We are on the shady side, but that's okay. We have lots of electric charges because these things have a lot of batteries in and of themselves, and the probe core does as well. And we are coming in on our apoapsis. And with this engine here, what's our thrust to weight? Oh, only 2.0. You know what? I'm going to start the burn now. There we go. Time to apoapsis is still dropping. We probably could have waited a little bit before starting this burn. But we're not actually that early. At all. Now, hopefully, despite the fact that we took a very relatively steep ascent, hopefully we do have enough delta V to circularize. I think we should. Time to apoapsis is still dropping currently. It might start to rise, because I do think we started our burn a little bit early. Yeah, this is dropping pretty quickly. There we go. Yeah, it's rising. So we can wait a little bit longer, restart the burn. No, even more. Because really, we should do half our burn on the other side of the apoapsis. So it's good for this to drop. There we go. As long as it's not dropping so fast that you're going to miss it. I think here we're in a... Oh, still have a little bit of time. So I could have planned a maneuver node, but everything about this was a little bit shoddy in the first place. There we go. Alright, this should be fine. We'll complete some of our burn on the other side of the apoapsis. So even then, now it's climbing, but this is okay. We're basically where we want to be, and cut the engine. Excellent. You don't have to hold any particular rotation whatsoever. So we'll kill that to save some power. At this point, all we have to do is wait our 3 days. We should be in good shape. I suppose I could go and transmit a crew report right away. There we go. We do have a good set of connections because of what we've set up in the past, right? We've got a definite connection to the KSC. We can turn off those, there we go, those cones. So we can always transmit data back. And what we're going to do is just wait 3 days. Tito only wants to be up here for a day, I think. Space tourism. Yep. So he's just want to wait another 4 hours over here. But we're going to go ahead and... Right, 72 hours. I forgot. I was thinking 3 days, our manned orbit. 3 days, 72 hours. But it's not. In Kerbal time, 72 hours is 12 days. I think we brought enough, though. I think we have, like, way overkill. 16 days, 15 days. And don't worry about the electricity, because, of course, we have solar panels, so every time we get around, we're going to be all right. Yeah, it's a good thing that I brought a little bit more food than I expected, otherwise we would have had to cancel this mission. So let's go ahead and just fast forward around, make sure everything's still looking good. Yes, our electric charge is nice and maxed out. When we're in the sun, everyone is happy. So what I think I can do is quick save here. We're going to return to the Space Center, and then we're going to time warp from there until the contract is done. And just leave these guys in orbit. They're going to get to know each other real well over the course of a couple of weeks. I always forget that about the Kerbal time. So if we just fast forward here. There we go, 10,000. Okay, space tourism is done. All we have to do is recover it, and then wait for these to count down. There we go, another speed notch. Woo! And done. Okay. We don't have unlimited food, so we don't overkill it. So that actually completed that quest completely. But we can't complete the tourism one until we actually return home with Tito. Actually, before I do... Every time, before you do a vessel switch, do a quick save. Now, you can't quick save from here. What you have to do is you do have to go save game. There we go. Quick save 9. That'll be us. Switching vessels occasionally will lead to a crash because of memory leaks. I haven't had one in a while, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. The tourist trap one, we're going to return you to the planet, my friends. Check your resources. There we go. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and we may as well use the flight computer, even though we do have a pilot. Because my own personal rule is I will want to have a pilot, but always nice to put those probe cores on there because you can use the flight computer to execute certain commands. I like that. All we have to do is burn until our peri is low enough that we will return to orbit, or return from orbit. There. That should be plenty. It'll be a long descent, but it'll give us plenty of time to actually slow down. I'm relatively confident about that. So, I don't like to separate here. What I like to do is radial minus especially. Because now, if I separate, this will be left nicely behind. It's got a little bit of fuel left, but, you know, that's okay. I mean, I could have braked completely, but I'm going to count on more aerobraking and a really shallow re-entry. Alright, now, you are going to be on surface retrograde. So, your ass end and your heat shield should be pointing directly towards the direction of the air, which is really good. Okay. Let us time warp. Once we enter the atmosphere, it will stop our time warping, because we can't time warp inside the atmosphere. We can physics warp, but that's different. There we go. It'll go back to pointing there. We'll finally run that material study that we weren't able to return with last time. There we are. I will keep that data. And apparently, we can, in fact, toggle the bay doors now that the experiment is done. So none of the other experiments I brought with me are apparently needed. But as long as we return home with them, they don't explode on the way back in, then we will get our money back, and that will be okay. And see, the periapsis is dropping here because we are hitting, even up here, there's some amount of atmosphere. It's pretty damn thin, but it is there. We've got lots of electric charge, so even though we're not generating anymore, we don't have to worry about the fact that we are re-entering, you know, with some SAS. I'm going to do some physics warp here until we get a little bit lower and we start to see some heat effects. So it's going to be a long, long, long re-entry. But it should be a relatively gentle one. Right? So we should see the flame effects for a while, but they shouldn't actually be that extreme. You see the periapsis continues to drop, which is fine. I'm just going to do this until we start to see some heat effects, which might start around 40,000. I actually don't remember with the new atmosphere. Something like that. We definitely will not like skip back into space. You can already see the apoapsis will drop below 70,000. In fact, we're gonna brake pretty hard here relatively soon. There we go. Heat effects are gonna start. So I'm not gonna physics warp while this is going on. We are pointing exactly the right way. Looks pretty good anyway. Now, out of curiosity, if I turn this all off completely, I mean, that's the way. You shouldn't have to be holding any specific heading. It should, well, this is not necessarily aerodynamically or center of weight stable. When you're just coming in with the command pod with the heat shield underneath it, then it's got the perfect shape that'll always stay facing the long way. When you're coming back with all this stuff, I don't know. Also, I forgot to put like any like more solid base on here. I'm hoping that there's enough parachutes on here that we really come in at like under 4 meters per second to make sure nothing gets destroyed, but I'm actually not 100% confident about that. Connection error. Can I not give commands? Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, see, it was not stable. When I canceled that, it was going to start flipping around. So we do have to encourage the surface retrograde here, because otherwise it is going to flip and be unstable because of the shape, the length, different things like that. So far, so good. No heating warnings whatsoever. I mean, we're still quite high, and the air is still pretty thin, despite the fact that there's some, extraordinary fire effects going on. The air is, in fact, very thin up here, so there's not that much heating as you might expect. We still have a lot of speed left to burn off. You can see we're burning off the speed very slowly, which is a sign of the fact that we're not actually getting that much heat. The ablator is in fine shape, but it's never been the ablator that's been the problem. It's been just heat transfer issues between modules, and I think it was because the universal storage mod hadn't been updated for the new temperature model, and now it hopefully should be. Still dropping speed very slowly. Up until we get into about 30K, we're not really in properly thick atmosphere. But this still means that we are bleeding off a little bit of speed, and that's okay. And the earlier and more gently we burn off the speed, the less we have to worry about temperature in the long run. I still don't see any temperature status bars, so that's good. This is quite bright, but it is dark. Hold on, Tito. We can do this. Alright, now the speed is dropping quite a bit more quickly. We're coming in on the 30K mark, and this is when we're really going to start to see both the braking effects and some more of the heating effects. By the time we get down below 20, we'll have slowed down one way or another that we shouldn't actually get more heating effects. So this is going to be the real hot spot here. Dropping quickly. Aim is still good and true where we want it to be. No heat bars that I can tell, although it's so bright it's a little bit difficult. They should be on. I'm hoping they're on, so I don't think we're on the verge of any explosions. Cross my finger. Ablator is still in great shape, and again, as always, it's not the heat shield that's generally the problem in these things. Very rough ride here. Although the G-forces aren't that high, because the aero braking is not that much. Alright, we're closing in on 20K, and at this point, where speed is going to drop extremely quickly. It is going to be the hottest part, because we are hitting the most... I was going to say air friction. It's not actually friction that causes you to do this. It's the compression of the air. But now there's more air to compress. Alright. I think we're going to be okay. Now, at this atmosphere, we're going to hit the heat effects still until we get to about maybe 700 or 600 maybe meters per second. It's having a hard time keeping it here, but there we go. Now we're just getting the Mach effects, which are good. Excellent. And we could actually go into a tumble at this point if we wanted to, which is what was going to happen. You can tell how unstable it is. If I go ahead and do this, no, there's a certain amount of aerodynamic stability. Alright, I'm going to activate the chutes. They should actually... Oh, not apparently thick enough. We are going slow enough that it's safe at this point for them to go, but they're not at the atmosphere yet. And that's okay, we've got a lot of room. I think I can manually activate them. Oh no, I'm not sure. There we go. The drogue has just come out. So yeah, I can actually set the drogue to come out quite a bit earlier. Now, it's not fixed, right? Because depending on your re-entry profile, your atmospheric settings might have to be more or less. And also, if we're coming in over a mountain. It's very safe if we come over the ocean because we've got lots of extra room. But if you come over to a mountain, when the atmosphere gets thick enough to deploy, you might already be touching the top of the mountain. Alright, so they're not fully deployed yet. They're all in their sort of half-deployed, semi-drogish mode. The actual drogue chute will fully deploy at 2,500 meters, and the others will deploy at 1,000 meters. Flight computers are off. Everything is groovy there. We can probably do an EVA once we land. There's that. And yeah, I'm hoping that our speed is nice and comfortably. I don't know what the impact resistance of some of these are. It might just be 4 meters per second, and I don't know if we'll be below that, so it's entirely possible some of the experiments will smash up. The command pods should all be fine, and they are attached to each other with struts, so they shouldn't separate or anything. Not that it really matters. We could recover both parts individually. All right, 1,000 meters. Now we get full deployment. Let's see what happens. For surface speed is still going to be over 6. We are landing in the water, but that might smash some of my bottom bits. I'm just going to do a little quick save here because this part is boring and I want to time warp. But time warping right before a landing with parachutes and all kinds of things potentially going bad, you want a quick save before you time warp in case like the physics decide to screw you. I'm going to try to untime warp right before I hit though. And yeah, that is certainly going a little faster than I was hoping for these components. There's a lot of extra weight going on here. I suppose I could have simulated the re-entry. That might have been a good idea, actually. I should probably do that more often. And stop the time warp. Okay. Nope, we're intact, and we can run some mystery goo observation from the ocean here. How lovely is that? Goo escapes into the water. Telemetry report from the ocean. Excellent. Apparently there's no EVA potential over here, but that's okay. All right, a successful mission. Actually, 2 contracts being resolved at the same time. And I suspect very much that having completed the 72-hour mission will lead us to a few more interesting contracts, and hopefully the tourism one as well will load us to more tourism contracts. We have gotten some science, material studies, mystery goos. That's pretty good. Money is very good from completing the tourism contracts, getting some more reputation. Tito Kerman apparently leveled up. I didn't realize the tourists could level up, but okay. What else we got here? Satellites, rescue, test. RemoteTech, create a network for Minmus and the moon. I already have a network for the moon. They're literally the same contract. So I should be able to complete them both at the exact same time. Seems a little odd, but I'll take it. I'll take the Minmus one too. Oh, a satellite in orbit of the sun. Oh, that's worth a lot of money. That's worth a ton of money. And one of the things we haven't done is gotten any science from an escape velocity from Kerbal, right? We have, actually, I don't even know if we have high Kerbal orbit science. Maybe. I guess we've done a loop around the moon, haven't we, in this career? God, I got so confused. But I don't think we've transmitted any science from the having escaped the influence of Kerbal. And that might be fine to do. Wow, that inclination is rough. We're going to need a ton of delta V to pull this off. Luckily, it's going to be a very light ship. But that really is going to need quite a bit of delta V. And hopefully, our dishes have range. I'm actually not sure. May as well take the mission. It lasts for 20 years, so we got 20 years to pull this off. I will go ahead and do that. But, depending on our science... Oh, and of course, I have to unlock that, but I don't have the science for it, so maybe I could wait. Oh, on research requirements, we need advanced construction. So as per my personal rule, that I'm going to try to unlock these advanced fuel systems right away, which actually should happen once I get advanced construction. I will get that, rather than stuff that might actually be better for landing. Well, I don't have the points for that right now anyway. What does this give me? Solar particle collector. Samples of solar panels. So these are going to be more science. Oh, I like it. Okay, that sounds really good. And a universal storage version of the same. Some winches, which are cool. That's Kerbal attachment system. Proper docking port. Logistics rover, to be determined. Minimum crew. Is this like a pre-built component? I don't know. Octocores. Solar sample system. Octagonal landing module. Module combines a service compartment along with deployable landing structs and an RCS system. Oh, it's like an all-in-one thing. This is from the colonization kit. And the flexo tube. Bendable, attachable tubes up to 50 meters long, requires KAS. Cool. All right, well, let's research this. And yeah, it will give me credit for having completed the advanced fuel systems as well, which is good. Did that not cost me any science? So, I'm still suffering from the fact that I've glitched things out. And I know some of the empty nodes is something they can't get rid of. So, alright, that's fine. Storage technology. I guess I got more science than I thought. Recycling. Air filters and purifiers and stuff. Pretty good. I don't know if we need to start with this yet. Mobile processing lab is very nice. Comtech. What's range on this? 3 million. Compact folding. So this is longer range omnidirectional antenna than the other one, but not by much. The other one's 2.5. This is 3. There might be other things, other benefits. Oh, another dish. Ah, this is a 18 like gigameters. Holy crap. That is a huge range. Very, very energy expensive. More solar panels. Yeah, this is really tempting. Big, big, big battery pack. Doesn't help with our landing. There's our lander can, which we don't actually need for this. We can still use command modules for all the things. Aerodynamics we can live without. And we don't have the science for anything else. I am going to go ahead and... which one had the more dishes, maybe? Recycling, storage technology. Yeah, I'm going to pick up the electrics here. Because if we're going to do the solar mission, I think we'll need the big, big, big dish. We also have missions to do a communication network around the moon and Minmus. And we have a landing... Yeah, or... We have moon landing, but plant flag on Minmus. So really we can go either way. Minmus is obviously a hell of a lot easier. And we can combine this. We could send something to Minmus that also includes a couple of satellites for us to detach before we land. Obviously, we'll need quite a bit more Delta V because we're going to be carrying a pretty heavy payload over there, but it might be a good idea. And now that we can use the fuel tank, the fuel filters again, it might be particularly handy. We actually probably only need one satellite to hit the full coverage. Well, I'm not sure. Because we have 75% of it just by pointing a dish in that direction. If we put something in polar orbit, maybe, but then it would lose signal from time to time. And we need it to be up for 3 days. So I think we need 2 of them in opposite polar orbits. And even then, I'm not 100% sure. We'll figure it out. But I have to put a cut in here. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Kerbal Space Program. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.